Now the whole earth had one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, Come, let us make brick, and bake them thoroughly. They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us, capital U.S., go down and there confused or confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confounded or confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. That's it. That's the story of Tower of Babel in Genesis 11. After that, in verse 10, we go into the story, the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad. 2 years after the flood. Now, in the next chapter is when we first hear about Egypt. The Lord said to Abram, Get out of your country, from your kindred, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Haran, today is called or known as Iran or Iraq. But it is the region of Mesopotamia. This is the land where domesticated animals such as sheep were first known to be found. This is the same chapter that Abram took his Sarah, his wife, and Lot, his brothers, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the tributary of Morah, and the Canaanites were then in the land. Now this is very, very, very important, because Shechem is a character that falls in love with a daughter of Jacob and wanted to marry her. And he offered all his kingdom to the sons of Jacob. It's Genesis 34. And they dealt deceitfully with and his father, tricked them in getting circumcised, and then slaughtered them and took their wives and their livestock and their children, and then fled and then made the women and children bury their, well, let's just read it. Genesis 35:4. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which were there in their hands, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree, which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. It's a horrific story, one very few people ever talk about or discuss, but these are very, very important details that spell out the characters that we are dealing with in the present world. So this is the reason why I enjoy this content, or discussing this content, because it very rarely is, if ever. And this gives you a high definition perspective of the scriptures, which should enhance your faith. It validates the scriptures as fact and not fiction, but allegorical facts, meaning that the stories themselves are fiction, but the matters in which the stories are about are non-fiction. For an example, in verse 10 it says, now there was a famine in the land of Abram. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. And it came to pass, when he was close to entering Egypt, that he said to Sarai, his wife, indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore it will happen, when the Egyptians see you, that they will say, this is his wife, and they will kill him, or kill me, but they will let you live. Please say you are my sister, that it may be well with me, for your sake, that I may live because of you. So it was, when Abram came into Egypt, that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. The princes of Pharaoh also saw her. The prince of Pharaoh also saw her, and commanded her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. He treated Abram well for her sake. He had sheep, oxen, male donkey, male and female servants, female donkey, and camel. But the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abram's wife. They hid male and female servants in between male and female donkey in Genesis 12 verse 16, just to point that out. But the main point is that the Lord of Shem, Abram's Lord, Abram's God, plagued Pharaoh and his house. Pharaoh is of Egypt, which is the sons of Ham. But the son of Ham were not only Cush, Egypt, Punt, and Canaan. So not only did they do this in Egypt, but he also does this in Gadir. And that's when we find out that Sarah was also his sister, because he confesses. He confesses to Amalek, the king of the Philistines. Philistines is a word used for the land of the Palestinians. It's just the Greek word. You hear that Philly. It's a Greek word. Phi, just like Pharaoh was given to the Nubians, given to the Kemites. But in Genesis 26, they pull that same stunt. And again, it says that the Lord plagued the house of Amalek because of Sarah, his wife. In Amalek's kingdom, the women were unable to bear children. Again, this is Genesis 26, where it says in verse 10, we'll say, "What is this you have done? One of the people might soon have laid with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." So Amalek charged all his people, saying, "He touches this man and or his wife shall surely be put to death." Then Isaac sowed in the land and reaped in the same year. Oh, this is Isaac and Amalek. Yeah, Isaac kept on. He kept the tradition. My fault. I was actually trying to point out Genesis 20, verse 12 specifically, where it says, "But indeed she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife." That's 20 verse 12. So this is what causes the confusion. In verses 18, it says, "The Lord had closed up all the wombs of the house of Amalek because of Sarah, Abram's wife." Right? And so wherever they went, they caused confusion, because that is the God of Shem. And so this is spelled out very clearly in Genesis 9. You can start that at 24. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him, which the son just stumbled upon his father. His father, in his ignorance, he was drunk, alone in his vineyard, which means that his wife wasn't present like Eve was present for Adam in his garden. And Eve shared with Adam a knowledge which opened his eyes. But Noah was alone. It says that Noah was a husbandman, right? It says either he became a farmer or he became a husbandman. And that's spelled out in chapter 9, verse 20. Noah began to be a farmer and he planted a vineyard. In the Old Testament, or in the King James version, the KJV, it says he began to be a husbandman and he planted a vineyard. But that was changed to a farmer and he planted a vineyard. And this is the connection between the Garden of Eden. But now Noah was the Lord of his own garden, and he became unconscious by his own crop, right? Got high on his own supply, right? But the point is his ignorance was self-inflicted, and as a result of his ignorance, he ended up cursing his grandchildren, right? Which was the sons of Ham. He cursed Ham because Ham is the one who stumbled upon his father in his nudity. Now, he was the first one who seen. He was the